This conference will now be recorded.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Very well. I'll call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. If you would, everybody join us with the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. First order of business, let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. It's the adoption of the agenda. So, Mr. Weekly, we have an addition to the agenda, I understand.
Yes, sir. I'd like to add a closed session, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 personnel, to which I want to give the board an update on the EMS chief interviewing process.
Okay. Anything further from the board members or staff? All right, very well. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Very well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Oops, let me turn that off. All right, so the first order of business there, after that is public comment. Do we have any general public comment? We will do it again at the end of the meeting. Nothing back there, Alan? Okay, very well. Public comment? All right, hearing none, then we'll close the public comment period. Move on to the constitutional officers, county departments, committees, and organizations. So if you would, we'll pass a mic around and introduce yourself and what department or constitutional officer, whatever, and give us some highlights. Start with Mr. Wilkes, huh?
The best. Good afternoon, Board. Our report's been submitted with you, and it has our typical DEQ, E&S report, planning and zoning report, and permits issued and inspections performed report. Just a couple updates on the 2024 code cycle. Yesterday, the Board of Housing and Community Development met, and this is where they go through all these hundreds of code proposals, and they give their opinion, yes or no. And then from there, once they finalize that, then it goes to the, I believe, the General Assembly, and then eventually the governor has to sign off on it. But every time there's a code change, there's hundreds of proposals for changes. Some are consensus, some are non-consensus. Typically non-consensus, because all the different committees that meet, they get struck down because there's problems with them. The consensus ones typically are approved, but even then, sometimes they're not. May is Building Safety Month, and we'll promote that as usual. I included the BMP guide at your request, so you all had it. I think you might have had it as well. We get this every so often, too. Questions when a permit's required, and I just put in there what the code section says. It's basically 4 times it's required. Construction or demolition of a building or structure, and those are defined terms. You do a change of occupancy, you're going from a house to a business, you need a permit. Movement of a lot line could trigger the requirement for a permit. If you move a lot line too close to a building, that building has to become fire rated, so that could become a big problem. So typically we work with people to avoid that because it's very difficult. And then if you remove or disturb asbestos containing material, you always need a permit, just to be you know, for safety for workers and people who are going to occupy the building lately. Got an update on Hoover Ridge. You know, the maintenance building is well under construction. Been out there multiple times with the contractor. And I don't know if you noticed, but the playground's starting to go up now. They started sometime this week. I don't remember the exact date, but I was over the other day, and they got one of the main structures 90% complete, and they're starting on the other structures for the playground. And last month, we issued a total of 130 permits, and we did 302 inspections. That's not even including complaint inspections. And then we issued permits for 8 new dwellings last month. So all the other reports are in the packet if you have any questions.
All right, questions from the board for Mr. Wilks?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Pass it along to, was it Alan right in front of you, but
Good afternoon, how are you? Annette, manager at the animal shelter. We had a busy April. We had our state inspection on April the 28th. We passed with no issues. Would like to thank Mooney for thinking of the shelter this year for Madison Day. Woodbury Forest and the volunteers did an amazing job. The cleanup turned out better than I could have imagined. We do have a vision for the area that they cleaned. We're gonna work really hard to make that happen. So please stop by and take a look. I think you guys would be very happy with what they did. We had a spay neuter clinic on April the 29th. We had 13 animals fixed for the community. We have upcoming clinics on June the 3rd and one on July the 2nd. We had a rabies clinic at Madison Companion Animal Hospital on April the 18th. They vaccinated around 20 animals for the public. We attended an adoption event on April 18th at Deathridge Brewery. They had a great day with one successful adoption. Attended an adoption event at the Culpeper PetSmart on April the 25th. We have another event coming up on May the 23rd. Had a meeting with the owners of MadTac. They're thinking about holding a shelter adoption event in the early fall. Wanted to see if we would be interested in participating and reaching out to other shelters, rescues, and organizations for participation. More details to come about that. Had a visit with the new director of the Culpeper Shelter, Cal Robertson. He just wanted to stop by and see the layout of the shelter. He has some great ideas, some great plans for the Culpeper Shelter. So hopefully that will go well for him. And the last thing is I just done some online training, maximizing social media for animal reunification and helping animals faster, and training using innovation to reduce the length of stay of our animals in the shelter. And that's all I have.
it's an impressive list.
Thank you.
Questions from the board? No. So how often are these inspections?
Once a year.
Once a year, okay.
Yes.
All right, then, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try to keep mine short and sweet. Alan Berry, Director of Information Technology. My report is up there. The only ones that I would add on to this is we've been doing just regular old break fix here, there, and everywhere. And on the last bullet, you'll see that I'm meeting with Magnify to discuss cybersecurity. That's something we've been working on for a while. We're putting together a 3 to 5 year plan that we're going to put before y'all that basically has everything that we're looking for that the county needs in regards to our cybersecurity moving forward. Just the big thing that I'd really like to start getting us doing is pen testing. We have never done a pen test to the best of my knowledge. We have done a vulnerability assessment, which is basically a watered-down pen test. There has been various strides made in AI pen testing that are monthly rather than a yearly thing that costs an egregious amount of money that we're looking into getting either from Magnify directly or from a separate vendor. But I really want to shore up our security going into the future. And if we can get it done on the cheap, I'm happy to proceed down that path. We have started on migrating the servers over to Hyper-V. We had a small blip yesterday that was fixed, but we should be done by the end of May. Everything should be over on our new servers, and we should be moving a little faster. Any questions?
Okay, questions for Mr. Berry?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one?
Certainly.
What is a pen test?
It's penetration testing. It's essentially trying to break into our systems through every measure possible. So if somebody tried to hack into our firewalls, they could try to hack into our ERP, accessing data that's not supposed to be accessed. We want to make sure all of our shields are up, essentially.
Okay,
Any other questions?
anything further? All right, thank you very much.
Personal information.
Mhm.
Some pen testers have gotten in trouble over that. Be interesting to see the plan. There've been companies that actually have contracted and given permission.
My new fancy computer that
When
works.
the tester comes in and just
Good afternoon, I'm Clarissa Berry, the Commonwealth Attorney in Madison, and I am here because we had a very excellent month in April. At the Commonwealth Attorneys Spring Conference, which is held in April of every year in Norfolk, Wade Gelbert, our Deputy Commonwealth Attorney, won the Small Office Prosecutor of the Year award. He is, they've divided the jurisdictions up into small, medium, and large. And so we nominated Wade, and he was selected out of the nominations. He was, this picture is from the second exciting event in April, which was when Dawn Dela Cruz, our victim witness coordinator, was recognized by the Office of the Attorney General as one of the state's unsung heroes in our criminal justice system. And she was honored for her tireless work on behalf of victims here in Madison. And it's, I think, a really special month that exceptionally highlights what amazing work both of those two individuals do on behalf of the folks in Madison County. They work together incredibly well. Wade is going away from it now that we've hired Mr. Judy, but you know, he led our multidisciplinary teams for about the last 10 years and has worked to ensure that the Sheriff's Office, DSS, my office, schools, whoever needs to be involved is at the table and that we're working together. I mean, obviously, we couldn't do it without the Sheriff's Office support. You know, EMS has come through for us. You know, he spearheaded a joint training with EMS about strangulation and recognizing the signs and the importance of getting medical treatment. And so we are just incredibly fortunate to have him in Madison County. He was mortified that he was recognized in front of about 700 to 800 prosecutors at the conference. But it speaks to his character that during his remarks afterwards, he encouraged all of the prosecutors to come to small jurisdictions, that our rural jurisdictions are exceptional places to work, that we have exceptional cases, and that it is one of the most fulfilling places that he could imagine working. And so I just can't stress enough how lucky we are to have him. I thank the board for your support. We were gonna lose him a few years back, and we were able to work together and come up with a good number and able to keep him here in Madison, and I think that that's just to the benefit of the entire county. So thank you, and I can't express how proud I am of both of them.
Yeah, pass along our congratulations.
And Dawn got a new sign today for her event, her marketing event. And when you see it, you'll think, wow, that's a beautiful picture. Wade took the picture. So.
Questions for Clarissa?
No, I got a comment, though.
Yes, certainly.
Congratulations on those awards and the way that your office works, but it all starts at the top with who's running the office. So congratulations to you. I think we really need to extend our appreciation for the job you do as our Commonwealth's attorney. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. Do I just pull it? I won't pull
Good evening, Gavin Helm, Deputy Chief of EMS. Good evening. We had 179 calls last month, so we were busy. My average response time is still sitting about 9 minutes, so well within our goal for that. We had 6 mutual aid calls from Orange County. We responded to 1. And actually, no mutual aid response or calls in April from the other counties. We also did not need mutual aid into our county last month as well, so that's also a good number. We did have 26 times where we went no units available. The minimum time was 12 seconds. The maximum time was 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 25 seconds. Average was 31 minutes, 8 seconds, for a total of 13 hours NUA, or 13 hours, 29 minutes, and 44 seconds on that. One correction on personnel, obviously, our chief has resigned. So we are fully staffed with the exception of that position at this time. And we, as far as events, Hoover Ridge, we did a standby, and we did have our RSI Academy, which was very well attended from other organizations as well, for advanced airway training. And other than that, that's pretty standard month.
All right, questions from the board?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Gavin, so what has been basically the average of the NUAs on a month-to-month?
It stays about the same. I don't know the times for last month, but there were 31. Actually, there was a correction I made to that sheet. It was 26 this month, but last month there were 31 times we went in NUA. It's going to float around within 10 points probably.
Okay.
It just depends on the time and, where our units are going. For instance, we had a recent MCI, mass casualty incident, where all of our trucks went to Charlottesville, except one that went to Culpeper. But, 4 trucks, everybody's out of play at that point. So, but even then, we didn't have to call anybody in for mutual aid.
So have we gotten the paramedicine thing rolling already?
I believe that the position, oh, go ahead, Mr.
I was just going to say, so the program has been around for about 2 years. However, it's had to be what I would refer to as a part-time effort. That's not no slight to Tiffany, who does a wonderful job. Her primary role is a lieutenant of one of our 3 lieutenants for EMS. So that position will go full-time. Funding starts July 1st, assuming appropriation resolution probably coming either the end of this month or in June, but that's when that position will go full-fledged.
Yeah, because we got to hire to fill.
We'll fill, yeah,
That's in the budget, yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I really have, but I was reminded, we have loaned one of our response cars to Greene County. Their primary response car was totaled out in a car wreck going to a call. So we have a good working relationship with the agency. When they need an ambulance or we need an ambulance, we try to help each other out. But just so you know where it's at.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Greg Cave, Chief Animal Control. You have my monthly report. You can see calls are gradually increasing. Warmer weather means animals are starting to roam more. I would first like to thank the sheriff and board for the spare vehicle. We're working on getting that ready. Perfect timing because mine's in the shop right now currently. So here in Madison, we operate on a 2-tier system. So when you start off as a level 1 animal control officer. So you ride along on calls, training, you learn the operations of Madison County, and once you complete a 3-week training in the academy, you're advanced to a level 2. So what that means, then you can start writing summonses, obtain charges, answer calls, same as a level 1 animal control officer. So do everything that I can. So with that being said, I did ask Mr. Devin Burker to join me today because I would like to recognize his achievement where he attended the Rappahannock Regional Criminal Justice Academy, and he is now advanced to a level 2 officer for Madison County Animal Control. And he has already started enlisted in VACA, which is the Virginia Animal Control Association, NACA, the National Animal Care and Control Association, Justice Clearinghouse, FEMA, VDM, and also working with Gavin and Daryl with EMS to schedule a EVOC training where he can, which means it's the Emergency Vehicle Operation Course.
Well,
Or, excuse me, first, Mr. Chairman, if it's the pleasure of the board, I'd like to present, I know we got your signature,
certainly.
a certificate to recognize Mr. Buracker's achievement. This is something we've started over the last few months. It's not to embarrass folks, but we do want to recognize, please come forward too, as his supervisor. It's important to recognize the time and the effort. I know we pay for training and so forth, but you really have to be a go-getter and a motivated individual to remember a lot of these rules and all. And he comes from good stock. I believe his father is a deputy over under Sheriff Weaver, so we have high expectations. So, Devin, this is just, again, recognize your achievement of officially becoming a level 2 animal control officer. We wish you luck and want to have many, many years at times. Hold on one second, she's got to snap a photo. That's all three of us getting this here. And then I came over.
Duck, Judd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you. Very good. Anything else, Mr. Cave?
See, we didn't holler speed, see,
Yeah.
we got out of that.
All right, Sheriff?
Good afternoon, Board. Reporting from the Sheriff's Office. We have a copy of my report. We have 759 calls for service. 759 calls for service last month. Two quick things. The big talk of the day, talk of this last week, how we doing with the speed cameras at Route 29? And we started Friday a week ago, and we've already had 230 violations in 6 days.
Come on.
It's trying to slow people down. That's my concern. Just, you know, it's graduation this weekend. My concern that every child, student, whoever leaves there Saturday gets home safe and sound crossing 29. So it's continued this week. Another thing, a big shout out this week is Police Week. So thank you to all law enforcement, local and state, that, you know, put their lives on the line every day for the citizens of Madison County and the state of Virginia. So, any questions from the board, I'd be happy to answer.
So those flashing lights and stuff, we can't turn those on for football games or for graduations or,
That's monitored by the school system, so I guess we could contact them and see if they can. As you know, this weekend we have 3 or 4 college graduation, high
Right.
school graduation, we have a tour to Madison, we have another motorcycle group coming through all on Saturday. So it'll be a busy weekend. I'll be more than happy to contact them and see if they can, we'll have 4 deputies out Saturday, reference to traffic at the school,
okay.
graduation. That's
Do
probably
it that way.
easy for us to turn the blue lights on and try to contact the school.
so Hannah, is it likely that that can't be used for that purpose? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I can read this and see if I can get you an answer.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd rather do the lights, our lights, and school lights.
Yeah, okay. All
It'd
right.
be like an hour and a half beginning and an hour and a half at the end.
Got
That's
it.
no issue there.
Okay, then never mind then. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce?
I'm gonna leave it on for you.
Yeah, my name is Bruce Bowman, and I represent Madison County on the Committee for Shenandoah National Park Relations. And I just want to inform the board that next Thursday, May 21st, will be the first meeting in 2026. And if you have any concerns, anything you want to convey to the National Park System, you can either talk to me, Judd Buchanan represents the Board of Supervisors on that committee, and John Mike Powell, our local attorney. So I just wanted to be here tonight to make sure that that line of communication is open if you need to use it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
If I may, unless the board member
Yeah.
has comments or
Questions
questions for Bruce.
Bruce?
So if you don't mind, I spoke about this at the Planning District 9 or Rappahannock Regional Commission meeting. Initially, the power lines that run up by Rappahannock Camp were scheduled to be replaced, I think, with ductile structure because they recognized the hazard since the 2023 wildfires. It's my understanding at that meeting, and maybe you heard this as well, Chairman Yao, that they may be reconsidering because, of cost and things of that nature. I'm hoping that because the park is federal, they have more weight than local government. But we've had a couple of fires in the last few months based on trees falling and activities on that power line. So I'd like to see if the park has any updates, if they believe those lines will be replaced, or if they can definitely push, kind of give their weight behind it of getting that project done.
We will definitely get an answer for you next week.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right.
We also want an entrance into the park for Madison County. President Hoover promised us.
Here we go. All right, Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Board. Jennifer Warren, Finance Director. Today, I was able to get April closed and reconciled the schools as well. So on the screen, just wanted to give you a quick overview of the budget report. So as you can see, we have a pie chart for each department. And if you scroll down, Kim, a little bit to the bottom there, right about a little bit higher, there's a year-to-date for all expenses. Go up just a little bit more, I'm sorry, the other way. And on expenses, that's good enough, Kim. All general fund expenditures year-to-date, we're at 83% of the year. At the top right, you can see it says 79%. So we are below our 83% in expenses year-to-date as a county. And last year, I looked at last year to get a comparison. This time last year, we were at 81%. So 79% year-to-date now. We were at 81% last year. So we're tracking well on the expense side. On the revenue side, as you can see, kind of in the middle right of that, where Kim's at right now, collected FY26 is 64% collected in revenues, and this time last year was a little under 63%. So we're tracking for revenue as well, year-to-date between FY26 and FY20 against FY25. And then if you scroll down a little bit more to the other funds, we have the schools as well on here. The school operating expenditures and revenue is right at 75% year-to-date through April. And to compare to last year, they were at 73%. So they're tracking fairly close to what they were last year. And I have not been able to close DSS and CSA yet. They are always a little bit behind. So this is a live dashboard, and as soon as I get their information, I'll be able to close for them, and then this will get updated for you. So that just gives you an overview on where we are year-to-date through April. Everything's tracking well.
Okay.
Questions?
Questions for Ms. Warren?
Yeah, I've got one whenever. Ms. Warren, where are we on the status of the state budget? Because I know last night at the school board meeting, they were indicating that they still don't know how much money they're going to get. So where are we at with that?
Mr. Weekly, you might want to.
Yeah, I don't have an exact date in June, but when they got nothing accomplished at late April, it was said that June would be the next time they reconvene. So hopefully they'll get a budget bill in there. Also, one thing, and it's up to the board to consider, we've talked about a little bit, while it was not part of a specific bill, it was said that it was going to be introduced into the budget bill, is the additional 1% local sales tax that can only be used for school construction. So there's a lot of things carrying weight with that budget bill, but that's my understanding is they're supposed to reconvene in June and hopefully take some action.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Set. Alan, you got something? Yeah.
As is in your report board, notice of violation enforcement continues. We have seen an uptick in the number of complaints, but very few actual violations. And so, Planning Commission is moving forward. We hit a milestone at the last joint meeting, of course, when we adopted our Article 7 amendments for the R3 updates, as well as the new R4 zoning district. We have a pretty full plate of subdivision applications. Of course, most of those are single lot, nothing major at this time. Board of Zoning Appeals is adopting new bylaws, and so they're going through that process now. Both Suzanne Long and Jessica Davis were reappointed to serve. And we continue with planning initiatives through Economic Development Committee and others.
So we're looking for an alternate for the BZA?
Currently looking for an alternate. Jessica Davis previously served as an alternate, and
Yeah.
she is now a regular member.
Okay. So are we advertising for that, or are we, okay. All right. So, questions for
Yeah,
Alan?
I do. Alan, so looking at this active subdivision applications, you mentioned that those are, what do you think the average is of those applications, and how many lots in the subdivisions?
Almost all of these are single lots. We have one near Beamtown Road that is making 3 new lots.
Okay,
I think that's my largest one at the moment.
okay. Because 11 seems like to be a lot, doesn't it? Or is that more
It's a
than-
little bit of an uptick from us. Some of it is that VDOT's had some turnover. It takes a little bit longer for us to get our approvals now, but they're still well within their window. But when you take a little bit longer, some of those things build up. So we've got some that are carrying on a little bit longer to approve.
Did it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that covers everybody. So the next item on the agenda is a consent agenda. I guess we need to pull the May 6th minutes out of the consent agenda since Supervisor Sharman was absent. So let's pull that one out and vote on that one, and then we can resume with the remainder of the consent agenda. So I need a motion to approve the the May 6th minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the May 6th minutes. Any further discussion? My hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and we have one abstention. You know what I'm trying to say. Just write that down, Kim. Okay, the remainder of the consent agenda, we have the April 28th minutes, and we have a supplemental appropriation number 33. The supplemental appropriation number 33, I think, warrants a little bit of reveal. We've got leave payouts, which we typically put in contingency at the beginning of a year, and because we never know how that's going to work out. Hopefully, it doesn't. We don't have to do that. And then we've got some salaries and wages for overtime for EMS. Put this up on the screen, please. And then another big one is transportation contract. It's costing us, what, 10 grand a month?
That's just the extra fuel surcharge, just the extra, not the normal surcharge for
hauling
fuel.
From our transfer station.
Yes.
This is projected to get us through FY '26, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I did the projection on what it's going to take to get us to the end of the year based
Right.
on that.
And then we've got some good news, is that ambulance transports, we projecting that we will recognize another $125,000 through the end of this fiscal year of June 30th. Is that correct, Ms. Warren? Got that?
Yes,
All
yes.
right. So that offset this a little bit, but that's the way it goes at this point. So that's what's in the consent agenda, this supplemental appropriation and the minutes from April 28th. So I entertain a motion or further discussion on this item.
I've got a question for Jennifer. Is that, that transportation contract, what we figured in 27, was that about 90,000? Does that ring a bell? Is that about right?
Not 90, let's see. We did significantly increase the transportation contract, but I
So I was
can,
just wondering how much this was up. This $140,000 is up about how much?
I can give you that figure. Give me 1 second.
I figured that's okay. I just figured if you had it off the top of your head.
No, I don't. But I do know that, you know, the fuel surcharge, the only concern I do want to mention to the board is that when we did the budget for FY '27, initially, we didn't have the fuel issue. And so we might have this issue again, depending on how long fuel charges are up, because we do have that fuel surcharge every month on our bill, which is pretty significant. In 1 month, it was averaging like $1,100 or $1,200 a month, or excuse me, every 2 weeks. So that's a month, about $2,400 was the normal average for fuel surcharge. Now it's up another 10,000 a month.
I know what I'm thinking of. I think the whole budget for the whole year was 985,000 or something like
Right,
that. For the
yeah.
whole year was 900.
Yes.
I knew there was a 9 in there somewhere, so.
Yes, sir.
You just missed a zero.
Yes. It's a very large,
And
I
11
would,
months.
I think we're averaging about 60,000 a month for the transportation contract, if I remember, 60 to
It's,
60 to 75.
in FY '27, it's total budget, and of course, that has the labor, it has the transportation, it has the disposal, and even that 40,000 roughly for testing, that we do, it came out to $950,400 proposed FY '27, up from FY '26 was 805,258, so a difference of 145, 142, 18% increase.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly.
So further discussion on the remainder of the consent agenda? Very well, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the consent agenda minus the minutes from 5/6/2026.
Second. Very well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Right, next item is, we have a public hearing on the secondary 6-year plan. We've got Ms. Carrie Shepherd from the VDOT resident engineer with us.
Mr. Chairman, if we may, because some of the, I've collected questions and concerns from various board members. I
Right.
have communicated those to Ms. Shepherd. If you find it appropriate, sir, can she cover those first?
First, yeah, that's
Before
right.
you get to the opening, or even the 6-year
Yeah.
plan before you open the public hearing?
Yeah, if you would cover it, we got a few questions, Gary, for you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have a couple quick updates that may cover some of your questions, and then I can obviously take any other questions that you have for me. Just real quick, the Pratt's Roundabout is entering a right-of-way phase right now for partial takes. That's going to start in June. So that project is progressing, and the add date is still unchanged to be winter of 2027. The Route 749 Moon Road Bridge replacement, that is actually going to add next month as well. And then we currently have an ongoing maintenance bridge replacement on 642 Duet Road. That should be complete within the next week or two. We had spoke last time, I had a request to look into a crosswalk on 29 at Washington Street. So the signal timing, retiming analysis was complete for Madison County, and the new signal coordination system has been implemented. We did ask them to look at this specifically. Right now, we're still talking through that, but what we've determined is it's gonna be, if it was a desire, it's gonna be extremely challenging because there's an additional phase for the side road, Maple Drive, that cuts into the green time for 29. So if we wanna keep looking at it, we certainly can. I just don't know how feasible it will be in cutting down that green time on 29. And then the second part of that would be obviously the infrastructure required.
Well, if you would, if VDOT would just send their evaluation, what they've come up with to Mr. Weekly, so we can pass it along to the Aylers, and to Mr. Emmett Ayler. And I think I've talked to the sheriff about a possible solution from their end too. So if you would, just send something to you, Jonathan, so we can pass it along.
Okay. I also, if Carrie would like to speak to it, I mean, this isn't the driving factor, right? Because you look at it from safety, but you also look at it from cost. So I believe this type of, even if you, this is hypothetical, got into this type of programming, it would at least be maybe a revenue share or some type of huge effort for the county on the financing side. So there's that as well. I'm not saying that's going to be in her report, that's me speaking.
Right.
Because when they look at different projects, they look at, okay, what program would be most appropriate? You know, TAPS for some pedestrian, but not all, and there's revenue share when you get into, you know, overpasses and things like that. So it would be a huge effort going on. But yeah, any summary you can provide.
Yeah, summary, would explain also the delay you're talking about, and I guess that's for Maple Drive, right? Because of, that's a strange intersection over there.
Yes.
And Ms. Shepherd, does that do anything to the lights on either side of that particular light, the timings of them?
Yeah, the signal coordination project that was done took Madison County as a whole and timed all the lights on 29 through Madison at appropriate intervals to keep things moving. So, yes, that's where this would alter that effort potentially.
All right, thank you. That's all you had to,
Two more quick things.
Okay.
At the last meeting, I was asked to look at Twyman's Mill Road for some trench widening. We did look at Twyman's Mill. It is a good candidate for trench widening. So we can consider that. We get another allocation of safety improvement funds in the fall. And if you would like us to consider that, we could use that money to do some trench widening on Twyman's Mill. And I can get some more finalized cost estimates as the time gets closer, if we want to make that decision.
I would prefer, I recommend to the board that we do.
I think Vice Chairman Jewett, what may go along with that, because we're trying to schedule the ride-along for intersections along West Hoover. So, and Carrie can speak more to this, but as you're thinking about putting dollars, that additional funding coming up towards Twyman's, weighing out Twyman's, or if you're gonna look at, after that ride-along, to make recommendations of improvements in those intersections, I believe it would be the same bucket of funding, right? So before you maybe commit to VDOT or request how that bucket of money is used, I think I would ask you to give full consideration, Twyman's Mill or post site visit of these three intersections, then it may be appropriate. Is that fair to say, Ms. Shepherd?
Yes, because the allocation that Madison County gets is only $50,000 a year. So it can do some things, but it's not a large amount of money. And speaking of the site distance issues on West Hoover, I did have our maintenance team go out and look at that. The challenges, we haven't fully verified the right-of-way, but our guess is there's some fence lines and trees that are likely off right-of-way, but those are mainly blocking the site distance from our viewpoint. So I don't know that there's much we can do from a maintenance standpoint. That's where potentially a project using the county safety and operational funds could come into play to make those improvements.
all right, so we need to get an estimate on both those projects to see where the money would be best spent, I guess is the way to say it, or whatever.
I think that summarizes it well.
Would any of that come from the savings from the Emmett Road?
We've already rolled that into the 6-year plan here,
And then,
when we moved it up, off.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Sharman may have some comment too
Yeah,
on
sure.
intersection.
You got something further?
I do.
Okay.
I guess that Arrington Road and Hoover Road intersection, if you're on Arrington and you stop there at that stop sign, you cannot see to the right without pulling out into traffic. And then while you're trying to see to the right, who knows what's coming south on that road as well. And I know there was a serious accident there on just Saturday, and both of the drivers were taken by ambulance. I know one is recovering, I'm not sure about the other person, but it's very difficult. I don't know, how we can, make this a priority, because that's pretty heavily trafficked right there, because you cross over, you're on Tolls Road, and of course, everybody, does that to go down Hebron Valley, but I just have, I guess the reason that is the biggest thing on my radar is because that was a really good friend of ours. And, cars get demolished whether you're going 45 miles an hour or what it is, so I'm just saying that you can't see. And we want to make sure that our people, our Madison County people, are taken care of. And it's impossible to see around that corner. I don't know what else to say without blubbering, so that'd be all.
Well, and just to add to that, I mean, we're talking about this $50,000 amount in quote-unquote maintenance. Does that really cover the scope of what would need to be done to actually fix these problems? Or would that fall into a different program with different funding? Because, for example, Twyman's Mill really the road needs to be widened that first mile off of Route 15. So, and then, of course, with the challenges up your way, they are significant.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that, again, just to educate me, would these really fall outside of the scope of maintenance? I'm just curious.
Well, the county safety operational improvement fund is the opportunity for us to make small-scale safety improvements. So it is outside of our maintenance funds. These projects would be considered outside of our regular maintenance activities. But this funding source is really the only thing we have that we can just go out and do stuff, get projects done. Otherwise, it would be looking at some other kind of program like revenue sharing, which is a 50-50 match with the county. But I mean, I feel like if we could take a look at these and get a better idea of cost, we can come up with a good plan. I think the challenges with Arrington, if it's the location with the fence and the trees, we just have to have willing landowners. So that's one of the challenges if it's off right of way, if we have to make improvements off right of way. But we work through those things if we can.
Well, when you're on an intersection like that and you're on a corner and you cannot see anything past that corner until you're pulling out and here, is that the private homeowners that's up on the hill setback, or does that belong to the county to where we can, bring in a bulldozer or something?
It depends on where the right of way is. If it's outside of our right of way, then it's their personal property.
Yeah, and I don't think that it is, but seeing that, but I would like this to be moved up to, a little higher level there to get that fixed, if possible.
I think yes, ma'am. I think what I'm hearing is based on the initial request and then added here today, you're concerned. There's some dates of availability that Ms. Shepherd has provided that Kim is coordinating the time that right around that they're going to look. But also an assessment will be made, and I'm sure some type of rough estimates to be able to come back to the board of, okay, these are some thoughts that VDOT may have for solutions for some of those areas you are raising today.
Well, and another suggestion would be just to lower that speed limit on Hoover Road to 45. And, if we can't get people to follow the speed limit out on 29, we're gonna have a trickier time on Hoover Road, but at least we could post it at that. And nobody wants to go 45 on that road. I understand that, but, people can't see them. You can't see it. That isn't the only one on Hoover that's dangerous. Other than that, maybe we'd like to widen that and put a bike path and everything else in there if anybody wanted to do that. I'm just kidding, but we want to take care of our people.
I think we'll bring that back as old business at an upcoming meeting once we've had time to do some due diligence and Ms. Shepherd has an opportunity to put together some type of recommendations.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Who else? I got one more thing. So here, I think this is an easy one. So you're coming into Madison from the north, from Rappahannock into Madison, and right before you get to Etlin, there used to be a big brown sign that announced White Oak Canyon and Shenandoah National Park. Well, I noticed in the last, I don't know, few weeks, it was kind of hanging, maybe a bolt broke or something, and now it's gone. And not only is the sign gone, but the post that it was on is gone. And so that directed people down Etlin Road, right there in Etlin, to go over to Syria, which passes by Ducard Vineyard and gets you the shortest route to White Oak Canyon. So would you check and see what happened to the sign, and if VDOT's going to replace the sign or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. And, thank you. Also, it is one more thing. The signage at the J turn at Shelby. It seems like people are coming out of Shelby Road and, instead of turning right to go south for a few minutes, they want to go north. Okay, so instead of going down and coming around, they're just weaving their way through because there's no signage saying no left turn or whatever. We've spoken about this before, I think, as I recall. So would somebody go check that out? So Sheriff, is the signage just mainly coming out of Shelby Road, or is it everywhere?
Sorry, coming out of Shelby, trying to make a U-turn, or they coming out, instead of going toward the landfill, they're just making that U-turn right there.
Right. So they're cutting through it.
But this is at the intersection of both directions of Shelby and 29.
Right.
Instead of the pattern. So I think this may be something that, I know one of our team members who was here earlier, Mr. Cave, I think raised this, was that should there be no U-turn signage at that intersection point, because you have the U-turns either further north, down there across from the logging operation, or further south near Bavarian Chef. I think when we talked about it before, it was not part of the design to restrict no U-turns there. Like if you're going, say if you pull out of Blue Ridge Auto repairs and you want to go northbound, you merge all the way over, you get in that median, they turn and go north versus going down to the J turn by Bavarian Chef and then going north, which is what you would do if you pull off a Shelby Road to make that turnaround to go north. So it's that intersection portion that usually is supposed to create patterns of turn to get you to the side roads either way of Shelby versus doing U-turns. I think, is that correct, Sheriff?
It's U-turns, and when they're coming out of the Shelby Wolftown Road, instead of taking a right and south, they're just going across and kind of weaving in.
Right.
We're starting to get calls now, that's one reason, for it.
So,
I mean, I've watched it happen.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's just, Yeah. So I think any one of the engineers or whatever, Kerry, if you go out there and come out of Shelby Road, it could be kind of obvious as to what signage we probably need there to keep them from doing that, from cutting through it. Okay, thank you. All right, so the reason you're here is for the secondary 6-year plan. So let's get into that.
So I was just going to run through, just to summarize what we talked about at our last meeting, what's on the current plan for discussion tonight. There are 9 roads on the plan. The changes that we discussed last month have been incorporated, so Emmett Street has been removed. And then the roads that were at the bottom have been moved up in priority based on that removal. So at this current point, we have Turner Drive on the plan for fiscal year '27, Mount Zion Church Road, funded in '28, Wrights Lane, funded in '29, Buggy Lane, funded in fiscal year 30. Rochelle School Lane, funded in year 31. Willis Ford Lane, funded also in 31. Tussing Lane, funded in 32. Russ Jones Lane, funded in 32. And Great Oaks Road in 32, both of the last two with a balance to complete. So Russ Jones Lane and Great Oaks Road would need an additional cycle of funding.
Yep, that's questions from the board on that summary?
I just wanted to ask,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Weekly, I want to just touch base with you. We had talked about the possibility of adding that short stretch of the Church Road, Novum Church Road. Where does that fit into this plan,
You would.
if we would?
So I'm going to try to walk through this, and then I may ask Ms. Shepherd to help me on it from a funding standpoint. I believe those funds, because it's a segment of road that you're talking about, it may be another bucket of money. However, the General Assembly did change 2 years ago, maybe 3, but 2 years ago, that you could use some of your, these, I think, telefeed funds for projects as such as you're describing. So I know when we talked about Emmett Road coming out, what can you do? Do you do more of roads or look at sections? So that section of road is not in this. Carrie, and I know we're going to look at this when we go out to these other intersections. It's probably about maybe 40, 50 feet, I think, when I rode out there well, that would be just assuming if you pave it. I don't know if there's other things that they would look at and recommend, but if you wanted to improve a segment of the road, not necessarily pave the whole road, what would be the appropriate funding source to consider?
So improving a gravel road?
Improving a gravel road, yes. It could be either widening or some kind of grading needed.
This money?
This
The
money.
unpaved road funds. Mhm. The only thing that we ran into when we looked at Novum Church Road is it doesn't have a high enough traffic count right now, but I believe the traffic count's dated, so we really should do another one to make sure that it qualifies, but this
Google
unpaved road funding
Maps.
would be the funding source.
Yeah, to get a street view of that road. Its designation as a rural rustic, okay.
So right now, just to clarify,
Right.
to Supervisor Jewett point, that is not in here. The resolution you have is to support what is in the plan, the roads that Ms. Shepherd just read. If you want to reconsider or do something else, I guess now would be the time to tell us. I'm asking Kim to pull up, there should be a street view of the road. If you zoom in, Kim, find the church, and then we can show you this section of road. Does it say church? Okay, so what you want to do, when you zoom in there, you're going to come back south of that church right at the end of that last building they have on their property. Go to the, change your view
Where
on
the
that
end of
map. Go to
Novum is.
layers
See where you come down?
and click the layers square at the bottom. All right, now
Curve is,
zoom in.
washes
It should
out
give you
over
a
time.
street view. So see where that resident is, Ms. Shepherd, and Mr. Jewett, correct me if I'm wrong. So when you come out of the church, the lower parking lot there, it's at the top of the screen, you make a right to head back down Novum Church Road towards West Hoover. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Jewett, the concern is there might be a little bit of a choke point as far as narrowing as you go around that curve, and then you have this somewhat of a decent decline going down that hill. Was that the safety concern you're referencing?
Right, that's where that house is, it's right past that curve that's coming out about 45 degrees. That's, the biggest issue I've seen when I've been up there is that whenever there's any significant rain, not that we've had any in a while, that washes out pretty badly.
I'm wondering if it's coming out of that driveway, because that home looks like a fairly new home.
It is.
There's a couple of newer homes on that road I noticed since I've driven it last.
I'm not aware of what ongoing maintenance requirements are already there due to the fact that that does wash frequently. And, would that,
So that may be a ditching thing then that we'll have to look at when we go down, because I think that would be different. That would be maintenance funds. So it may not be that heavy of a lift. We'll just have to look at it if it's the drainage issue. Versus if you were going in and doing some kind of grading or widening or something, that would be a lot of extra funding that you would have to consider your telefeed funds versus normal maintenance. So I would recommend, it's up to you all, but recommend sticking with the plan you have. That is on the ride-along list, so we can look at it to see if it's just ditching. And you've got a grade all that travels from district to district that could take care of that if it is a drainage issue.
All right?
I am familiar with that Novum Church Road, and once you get up past that pavement and past the church, that road's pretty well maintained. I mean, you don't have the rough washboard in it. It is, of course, all gravel road, and I think, personally, I think the monies could be used in other places
Okay.
at this point, but you all can decide that, but.
Well, you'll be the most familiar with it from
Right.
any of us here, that's for sure. Okay. Anything further from the board on this? We have a resolution.
All right, you got to go to the public on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Can
Absolutely.
you bring back up the plan?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
So we'll go to the public for public comment on the secondary six-year plan. Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Any comments from the public on this?
At this time, sir.
Okay. Very well, we will close public comment then and come back to the board for further discussion or motion on Resolution 2026-11.
I do have one quick comment. Carrie, I'm sorry, I know you stepped away from the mic. As this is drafted, if you stuck through the plan, which this allows you to, well, this is the adoption of the plan. Here in a little bit, when you take up your rural rustic, I just want to point this out ahead of time. This would lock you in, I think it was through the year 2032 you talked about. If you make any changes, because we bring you the plan every year, but if you make any changes, then we would have to go back and, I mean, it's ceremonious, but we would have to do a new resolution recognizing the change. So I just wanted to point that out for point of information.
Right.
But the resolution before you, sir, is for the secondary six-year plan.
Right. All right, thank you, Mr. Weekly. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt a six-year plan for secondary roads, resolution number 2026-11.
Second.
Very well, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-11. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. Very well. It is, motion carries. All right, let's see. Ms. Shepherd, do you need to be here for the rural rustic resolution, the road resolution? We can skip and go
I
down
think
to
you're
it?
fine, unless you have questions
we
about
won't.
the program of it. We will have to get signatures because that's
Right.
kind of their official
Okay.
motion to move ahead is
Very
want
well.
signatures.
We'll
So
just stick with the agenda.
we just did it separately because that's not a public
It's
hearing.
not a public hearing,
Your
that's right.
secondary plan is.
Okay, under old business, we got the HyperReach public notice. Mr. Weekly.
I'll be brief on that item and the next one when you call upon it. At the last meeting, when you were passing a resolution to rescind the fire prohibition, Supervisor Buchanan had a good suggestion about maybe getting that information about that program in the tax bills. So after that meeting, Mr. Gordon drafted, I guess this is officially called a leaflet, as Ms. Murray might confirm. But Ms. Murray did check with her point of contact, because we have a company that does the printing of the tax bills, and was gracious to get us a price on that. So it wasn't too too salty. I think it was about $470 some, but to get that in the tax bill. So we went ahead and approved that. So just wanted to let you know that recommendation was a good one, and we were able to achieve that. That's all I had on that item.
Yep.
Just encourage people to sign up. If you want to stay alert of emergency events, if you change phones, a lot of people switch from home phones now to cell phones. If you do not go in and change your information, you won't get the alert. We have that happen at times. People call, well, I don't get the alerts anymore. Did you change your number? Yeah, so just make sure, even if you are signed up, that you have your latest information.
Okay.
I can tell you, not all the addresses are in there. I tried to register last night and had to go through and put, I couldn't figure out if I was really Rochelle or Wolftown, but I tried both and couldn't find my road, and so there is that with that as well.
Okay. Were you able to get registered? If
I
not,
gave
come
up.
see us.
I went to other things.
Well, when you
I'll
happen
go
to be
back.
in the office next time, please stop by and we'll get that taken care of. It'd be good to, because other people may be having that, it'd be good to see that in real time. You want me to continue
All right.
on to energy audit?
Yeah, energy audit grant.
So you may remember the board authorized me to enter into or apply for a grant, and we was awarded an energy audit grant through Virginia Department of Energy. We are one of a few counties that are participating, and the whole purpose is for energy audit, right? How efficient is your home, and how can you save on bills, especially nowadays, the cost of everything's going up. So we put out a press release. Thank you, Chuck, there he is. Ran an article, I think Tracy has shared it on her Madison County page. And there's two things. One, we are soliciting for energy auditors. So those are, eventually it'll wind up being 3 people selected for that once we get all the applications in. And that's for you to get the training and able to perform an energy audit. And I remember when Jeff Henry was here one meeting, when we went through that grant, he said, boy, if somebody had that certification, we'd probably hire them. So the idea is to be able to perform the audit. You'll do things like there's the code requires now, the building code, a blower test. They'll order that equipment. I talked to an HVAC company owner here in the county. I said, man, you want to do this? Because I got certification last year. I said, daggone it, this is exactly that need, because they may be able to add it to their menu of services, if you will. So soliciting for auditors, we'll select that. And then there will be homeowners at no cost. If you want an energy audit performed in your home, we do have a waiver form. You've got to show proof of ownership or have the consent of the property owner. And there is a no liability clause that keeps the county out of it. Not that people will go in and wreck a home, but we think it's a good program. Greene and Madison will have their training together. So I know why the press release said training kicks off in June. The actual training for Madison and Greene, it will be held in Ruckersville starting the week of July 6th. So we're optimistic about it. I think we got 6 applications for homeowners that's came in so far and 1 for auditors. So if you know of folks that want to either be an energy auditor or a participant in a energy audit, please, I think this is linked to at our website. You go under the main page, it's there. Click the link, there's a QR code, or if you want to call our office, we're happy to get you in there for an application so we can go ahead and make our selections in the near future. So.
All right. Questions from the board on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well, then. We will, next item under new business, the Rural Rustic Roads Resolution. We have Resolution 2026-12 to consider. Mr. Weekly?
Yes, just if I haven't mentioned this before, I know some of you have been on the board a little longer, and I appreciate Ms. Shepherd's time because when Mr. Gordon was promoted to Deputy County Administrator, it was a good opportunity for him to build some rapport with folks we've already been working with. But we touched on this rural rustic designation because in VDOT's world and as far as the county's world, you have your normal, I'm definitely not the engineer, so it's fine if you laugh. There's a normal specification of paving material for, say, Route 29. And then there's your rural rustic, which is more of a chip and tar type it's still hard surface, but there's a cost difference. And it allows you to stretch your dollars, which are limited. You can see your plan a lot further if you do the rural rustic, which a lot of people are looking for, just a hard surface road. They're not saying, hey, I need the same quality as Route 29. I probably butchered that, but I'm trying to give you analogies. I don't know when we had switched. We were, asking for a higher quality. I learned of that by meeting with Shepard and said, oh, no, let's please go back to the rural rustic, the chip and tar, because really the goal is to get hard surfacing. We don't really need the other type of pavement. We'd rather that to be 230 and some of your other major primary road like 29. So I just wanted to explain that program and why this designation is important if you are asking them to do that option, which is the chip and tar, which is rural rustic.
Yeah, and I noticed on the secondary 6-year plan, over in the far right column, it designated these particular roads that needed this resolution.
Correct. We had that in there, Ms. Shepherd's office also provided, I forgot who was in the meeting with us now, but I can recirculate it around if you want. But when we were looking at, the thickness of pavement, the rural rustic versus the other, they gave you some cost comparisons, and it's dramatic, the difference. I don't know if you want to see that again, but at that time, that was kind of the illustration, and the board said, yes, we want to go back to the rural rustic designation again, so you can get more roads funded and completed a lot sooner.
All right. Questions from the board on this? Very well. We have a resolution 2026-12 in front of us. What's the pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2026-12.
Second.
Very well. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-12. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. All right, let's see. State bonuses. Let's get to that. Mr. Weekly, you're up again.
Yes, and I'm going to ask for my wing person on this. Ms. Warren kindly reminded me, sometimes when the General Assembly does their budget bill or they do amendments, even though Virginia has a biennium budget, they include things, and it depends on what fiscal year it falls in. So part of the caboose bill, it did allow for a 2% salary bonus. I think it was primarily for constitutional officers and those constitutional employees. The thing is, and we've had this discussion before, we'll use law enforcement, for example. You may have a constitutional office employee that's designated as a deputy, but one we fully fund where they're both deputies. How do you say you get 2% and you get nothing? So Ms. Warren and Tilly, and if I'm forgetting others, forgive me, they put together the numbers needed to do that. I do want to recognize that Ms. Warren reached out to each department head to see if they were able to maybe manage within their existing budgets to cover this, and I believe they were able to navigate. So would you like to add anything, Ms. Warren? You did all the work here, so.
On the next slide, if you could just go up one more. Actually go up one more, I'm sorry. There's a spreadsheet. The next one, there you go. So this is just a summary, gives you the numbers, the total calculated bonus expense for all constitutional office employees, those that are comp board funded and those who are not, is $80,000. The comp board reimbursement is projected to be right at $36,477. So the amount that's not reimbursable by the comp board that will be covered by existing budget money, no new money is being asked for by the constitutional officers, is $43,926, and that would allow for it's a one-time 2% bonus on. It doesn't add to their salary; it's just the one-time bonus. But all of the constitutional officers confirmed that they felt like they had enough money in their FY26 budget to cover so that all the employees in that, their office would get that bonus and not just the few.
Yeah, so we have all of those departments to thank for absorbing this additional money to. Questions from the board on this?
I've got a terrible comment, Mr. Chairman.
Uh-huh.
This is one of the things that really, and I know it bugs other people about the state government. This is an unfunded, de facto unfunded mandate. And there has to be a better way for the General Assembly to come up with a bonus system for localities to reward everyone equally and not just comp board employees. And I think when we do our legislative initiatives, that might be something we could explore this summer. Not that it'll do any good, but at least we could raise our concerns, because it's just not fair to come out and say, I'm going to give, these people are going to get a raise or a bonus. These aren't, and you know what, if they're going to get a bonus, the locality has to fund it. Well, of course you're going to have to fund it. It's unfair to give somebody a bonus and not a counterpart that's doing the same work. So it's an aggravation. I just want to interject that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything further? Very well. Then we have supplemental appropriation number 34 in front of us that we need to consider. So I'll entertain a motion on supplemental appropriation number 34.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move to approve supplemental appropriation number 34.
A second.
Very well. We have a motion and a second to approve supplemental appropriation number 34. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Sheriff. All right, the next item on the agenda is Rappahannock Electric easement agreement at Hoover Ridge. Mr. Weekly.
Yes, and I'd like to recognize Mr. Wright. I appreciate him working on this. There was some slight modification. REC, sometimes from their engineering department, well, obviously comes out of legal too, but they put forth various easements. Sometimes you'll have them say overhead, sometimes overhead and/or underground, or sometimes just underground. At the end of this, there's an attachment that shows the easement. This is for the outdoor recreation center, because the transformer that's over by the prior Red Barn, right, which is now the maintenance building, that's at max capacity. We can't keep pulling home runs off of that. So we need a new drop off a power pole off Fairground Road that will enter the park and go, it's middle of that picture. You see the arrow starting from the top and pointing down to that dash U, and so forth. Yes. So we need that to come off a power pole into the park, underground, and it will dead end at a transformer over at the Hoover Ridge Outdoor Recreation Center that's currently under construction. Hannon, is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, only that this is just, like it says, for the underground as opposed to having poles over it. But we just hope you guys will do a vote one way or the other on it.
Yeah, anytime there's an easement to be established across your property, I mean, I know it's taxpayers, but for this point, for county property, you have to grant that approval. So that's another reason why I'm bringing this to you today. So information in it requires your approval for the easement.
So Hannah, right at the top says right-of-way easement agreement, and then underneath it is underground. So that was the change you suggested and they accepted.
It was that, and then in that first
In the body.
witnesseth paragraph, there was a piece about constructing poles above ground, so that's been removed.
Oh, okay.
And REC was good with that change.
Yep. All right, very good. So we need a motion to approve this right-of-way easement agreement.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the REC easement agreement at Hoover Ridge.
Second. Very well, we have a motion and a second to approve the REC easement agreement at Hoover Ridge. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item, Madison County High School's fireworks permit.
Yes, sir. I think the varsity baseball coach is trying to burn the baseball field down. No, that's just jokes, because he's not here tonight. But I think in a lot of the sports, they'll have a senior night. So I think this is something that the athletic director and the varsity head coach wanted to do. You may recall, we have firework permits for the football program at various times, so staff doesn't have any issue, but want to make sure this comes through you all for your approval, and then we
Okay.
can notify the schools based on your decision.
All right, very well. We have an application for a fireworks permit, submission number 1353.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve the application for fireworks permit submission number 1353.
Very well, we have a motion and a second to approve the fireworks permit number 1353. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda, design and standards of private roads.
So I've asked,
that you?
Mr. Chairman, I've asked
Joe?
Mr. Sexton, who's our erosion sedimentation program manager, to be here tonight. This conversation started, Supervisor Snyder and I had some conversation. Some of the, and he sent me some pictures today, some of the private roads he has visited. The question is, what are our standards, if we have any at all, how they're applied? Who inspects, things of that nature, and he certainly can speak for himself. So I asked Mr. Sexton to be here. We have this program, or this guide that's on the screen. I sent you all an email along with some documentation that Supervisor Snyder had provided for other localities and their private road standards for the purpose of discussion and illustration here tonight. We do not go that far in depth. Before you, Kim has on the screen, that's what our existing private roads ordinance is about, and it mentions towards the bottom there about using this guide or a professional engineer-designed private road. Certainly, after talking with Supervisor Snyder and reviewing, I think you have Greene, Orange, Albemarle County, Rappahannock counties. I looked at Culpeper County online as well. Theirs get a little more involved when it comes to planned unit development. They call it PUD. But it seems like most of them have a width, and some of them even a height clearance, which if you think of that, whether it's well, we don't have a ladder truck, but we do have fire trucks, ambulances with an antenna on top now are like 11 feet. So it may give you some pause to really look at what we're doing, which is why I invited Mr. Sexton here, maybe to give you an overview, and then anywhere that the supervisors would like to go to give direction, whether that's to staff, or if you want the planning commission to take this up as an item, we're really here to give you an overview of what we currently do or don't do, and then what desire does the board have to move this forward if they so choose. Mr. Sexton, would you please come up and, please? Would you like us to put the guide up, or is there any visual that you need, sir? All right, okay.
Okay, I'm Joe Sexton. I'm your E&S administrator for the county. As far as any of the road constructions, there, like you said, there is no clear guide. I mean, we do have the pamphlet from Culpeper Soil and Water, and they are recommendations. I believe it says it on under design and construction that these are recommendations. So when we have no width requirements, no height requirements, I go out to a job site, I look at the entrance they've put in, and as long as that entrance is done according to what VDOT has wanted for coming into the site, the rest of it is
pretty self-explanatory in the books. Some of them require, depending on the lay of the land, some of the driveways or private roads will require ditches. Some of them require just slope.
According to VDOT or?
According to the book.
Yeah, okay.
Now, if you're looking for a VDOT road, that's a totally
that's
different animal.
Yeah, I understand that.
So one piece to add to that, Chairman Yao, members of the board, there's a lot in 4-8 to include the private road maintenance agreement. For those who may not have been around for that discussion also and passage, that was not an attempt to provide specifications for a private road. It was really to encourage where we didn't wind up with another road that we didn't realize we own and then we have to maintain. It's really the private road maintenance agreement, which has to be reviewed by our attorney. There's language in there what it has to state. You can't serve more than 6 lots. You have to identify the parcels that are served by this road. It's really for that nature. The private road maintenance agreement is not to say if you're using number 57 Stone or whatever and the width of that road. It's specifically who's responsible for taking care of that private road, what parcels. That's all that document does.
Okay, from the board?
One of the questions I have about that same document, and that was to Hannon, do you need to have anybody from the county sign off and say, this road is appropriate or is done in accordance with anything?
I guess there's two parts to it. One is the initial subdivision plan and the plat, and that getting approved, and then there's the part of the actual construction of the road itself. I wouldn't have anything to do with the construction of the road itself. I would be just pulled in for the road maintenance agreement, which should have a minimum standard to it, which would essentially just point to that Culpeper Soil and Water agreement, or not agreement, rather, but guide on how roads are supposed to be constructed, gravel roads in particular. Does that answer your question? So I get pulled in during the planning, when that packet goes to Alan, then he'll send the road maintenance agreement to me for review to make sure it complies with at least the basic requirements of our ordinance.
I would like to add, I looked at Orange County's agreement, and their widths are broken up by how many lots it is. Some of the road widths are anywhere from 14 feet to serving 10 lots, which we don't do, up to 18 feet with stones on the right of way.
So considering we'll end up with, if we have multiple dwellings on a private road, we're gonna have a road maintenance agreement, right? So I
Correct.
don't know, so Joe, do you think we need to go further than that? I mean, is this a problem in the county?
I don't believe it is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a certain amount of cars going in and out, that could become a problem.
Uh-huh.
If it's like a major thing, but like somebody's having a party for a relative at their place. They might have a little bit more traffic, but if you're working with your neighbors, you can just pull off to the side as they go by.
So and just to add on to what Joe's saying, the two things that we have in there that are, I guess, more objective is, one is you gotta have a minimum of 50 foot for the right-of-way, not necessarily for the road itself or the driveway. So that's not specified, but at least the right-of-way is. And then it has to be safe or passable for emergency vehicles. That's not really further defined. I take that to mean a big fire truck. I don't know. Joe, do you have any thoughts on that part?
Most of them go by the 14-foot wide, 14-foot high.
Yeah.
rules. So,
So as it is right now, we could be at 8 foot. The road could be at 8 foot and that's gonna pass.
you could technically, but I would not recommend that to anybody building it. And, I would
But-
I would speak with them about it when they're building the roads.
But there are some being done that way.
Not that I don't have. Not that I've seen. I've seen some as small as 10 to 12, but. I mean, go down, Noble Church Road. It's not wide enough for two cars to pass in
That's
some
right.
spots. And that's a state road.
So Joe, do you think that, on some of these other roads that when you come down, do you think they should all be ditched, properly ditched?
If a ditch is required, I mean, that says this is recommended. It is not required.
Well, and I guess that's one of the problems then, is, you know, I mean, because this all came about, probably 2 to 3 years ago over in PJ Acres, when one of the residents contacted me and said, hey, they're putting in this road down here, and I'm living at the very end, and there's no ditching here. And every time it rains, it's washing the road out.
Okay. That was, the road itself was approved by another interim that was here before I was. It was approved by a third-party engineer. Now, at the end of that road, and I know this is required, at the end of the road, where it's a dead end, or you need a circle, which I believe is a 50-foot for our county, and that's all it requires. Now, on some of them, it's like the lay of the land. Some of them should require more of a ditch line to keep themselves from having to fill in where it's been rutted out.
At this particular one, the homeowner finally had to rent an excavator and go down there and dig that out, dig a ditch out to keep the road.
That was his right with the easement or the private drive that he had with the other landholders. So he could have asked the other landholders to pitch in.
So I guess one of my thoughts about all this is that I personally think that the county should go in and make sure that it's done properly the first time. That's just my feelings. And if we're just gonna allow private roads just to be hodgepodged in
Well-
without any regulations and some kind of a guide that says, well, we have a guide here,
We
but
have
you
a
don't have to
guide.
do it that way.
We
And
have a
there's
guide.
nobody signing off on it.
And we have a guide, but I'm saying nobody is required to completely go through there because we do not have road regulations.
I understand that. And my point is
The
that-
other point, I mean, you've done plenty of roads around, and I believe up at the end of Leathers Lane, you were up there, and you were putting in roads up there. And so.
With ditching.
You did put ditching,
So,
and you did put rock at the pipe entrances and stuff like that.
So I guess my, sorry for interjecting, I guess my comment for the board is, because you have material in front of you, is to, you know, provide some direction. I know we hear Supervisor Snyder, you know, we need to hear from all of you of what would you like us to do? You know, if there's a standard to follow, we need to develop and adopt that standard. Whether you want something loose or something more tight. So it gives direction to either for our folks in-house or if we have to outsource. I don't know what that looks like yet. One of the things I want to do is talk to these localities that Mr. Snyder provided and say, hey, how are you all inspecting these? Are you doing them in-house or, you know, some of them may say as designed by engineer. And I know the way I treat it, if it has an engineer's stamp on it, they have certified, at least they're supposed to, because that's what they have ethics, that they've designed it properly. But I don't think we're dealing with, or this conversation is dealing with those design roads. It's more of a, if it's not designed, okay, what is the standard? And it seems like it may be a lacking of it now, so.
Because this pamphlet, or this book that we go by, it does say, if you gotta know what kind of soil you need, that you have there.
Right.
I mean, if you're putting this on sand, it's not gonna work,
Right.
you know? And, so are we gonna go through soil testing on the roads? Are we gonna go through, you know, making sure that somebody's out there drilling down 6 inches into the ground, make sure there's enough rock and stuff like that?
Mr. Chairman, can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I feel like you guys are doing 300 inspections a month, and
Oh,
this
I
isn't,
think mine include, or
Well-
most of mine are not included.
right. So what I'm saying is, I think the county is small enough to add extra regulations is gonna cost more money. If you, from what I'm hearing, it's not an issue right now. People are kind of going by these guidelines.
The people are tending to go by the guidelines. Now, if they have a rut out where the water's coming up out of a ditch they've made or something like that, I'll ask them, hey, you might want to think about putting check dams in.
Right, but that seems to work, right?
Yeah.
You just, your conversations, I think we have enough regulations right now. And if this isn't an
agree.
issue, then I don't think we need to make it an issue.
No.
That's
In
my
opinion,
personal, that's
it's
my
not.
opinion.
In my opinion, it's not, and for the person that's buying the lot, or he can see what the road is.
Yeah.
Right.
Buyer beware. What
And
you got?
he reads his agreement, he'll be fine.
Sure. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I've been here with y'all for 7 years, and it's great. The Building and Zoning Office does 3 main functions. You know, I do the building code enforcement, Alan does planning and zoning, and Joe does erosion and sediment control. Since I've been here, we've never dealt with roads. It's not something we do. I don't even think the ordinance gives us any authority to inspect roads or anything of that nature. Now, if you all want to create a private road ordinance, that's something we'd have to look at, or you guys would look at, but since I've been here, we don't really inspect roads. I mean, it's not something in our forte. We've never done it. And I don't know that's ever been done in the county for these private roads and driveways. And the ordinance basically says it's on the owners, the improvement and maintenance of it, not the county to look at them. Not that Joe doesn't help people all day long, giving them ideas to alleviate future problems, but I just, you know, we don't do that now. And if that's something you want done, that would be on you
We
guys.
just went through a budget.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
And I
good.
just see this making the budget go up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we need to do that. My personal opinion.
Any other comments from the board? Yeah, I guess, yeah, I have a little trouble with imposing regulations on a private road beyond what's, you know, we already have road maintenance agreements, so I would have a problem with that. Mike?
The only comment I'm gonna make is that all our other counties around us have found a particular reason to do that, and I guess we're gonna be the only ones that don't.
Yeah, we're special. All right, so I think what, we got a little straw poll. I have no appetite for doing this. Nancy?
Not right now. If it does
Yeah.
become a problem in the future, then we'll address it at that time.
Okay. All right, very well. Then we will move on to, huh?
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you
thank you.
guys for coming here and explaining.
Under discussion, we have temporary signs. Mr. Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So during the course of this latest election, on the constitutional amendment, it came to our attention about a sign that got placed on county property. And so then the question became of, hey, what's the enforceability of this? What can we do? What can't we do? In my review of that, it looks like we had I'll say omission back when we not originally, but the last time that we amended the sign ordinance. And so just to give you a little background on that, which is you had a U.S. Supreme Court decision that was talking about a local sign ordinance. And that was in, I think, Gilbert, Arizona. And it talked about political signs, and that it was sort of a harsh rule for them to say, look, if somebody has to read the sign to know if it falls into this category, then it's unconstitutional. Free speech, strict scrutiny, it should be content neutral in terms of the sign. And so that's what we attempted to do with our ordinance. So we took out political sign, and then we said, no signs on county property, which we're allowed to do, except within 36 hours, I'll say before and after an election. And again, content neutral, it could be 1-800-JUNK cars, it could be, vote for Kimberly, right? So but it pointed to temporary signs. And our definition, temporary sign, currently talks about what the sign says. And so that's going to be, I think, an issue in terms of our enforceability of it. So I think we just need to tweak the definition of temporary sign to make that also content neutral. We may also, so we had a Supreme Court decision on Thursday, Virginia Supreme Court decision. And there is a lot of ink spilled in that about what the definition of an election is. It does make the distinction between election day as opposed to an election, so I'll say the word election in general, which is choosing, but also an election period that can be, 7 weeks. So I think ours is fine as it is, but we might just want to specify that when we say election day, we mean the final day when votes are cast. Just to make sure that we're staying within what we wanted, which was sort of a grass-cutting window, as opposed to it being weeks and weeks and weeks of people being able to put out signs. So that's sort of the short term, what I think we need to do.
So at this point, we need to craft, well, our whole point was we didn't want signs on county property and stuff, but.
Generally true. We've got
Yeah.
a way, I think they're supposed to be going through Alan to ask for permission, say if they want to put up, like Domestic Violence Awareness Month or something, then they can go through and ask for that to be put on. So I've created some language. This will, because it's part of the zoning ordinance, it'll need to go through the Planning Commission first. But my recommendation is that we just clean up these definitions to make it more enforceable.
Yeah, because, I looked through code section, Virginia Code 24.2-956.1, requirements for print media, and if something is not authorized by a candidate, it says that the Sandwich Board did not include the required disclosures, in my opinion. So it didn't have any disclosures on it at all, as an example. But anyhow, so we will work on craft a definition of temporary signs and run it through the Planning Commission for ultimate, come back to the board for approval.
I do have a comment though, Mr. Chairman.
Huh?
I have a
Sure.
comment.
Yeah, go
This is
ahead.
just my 2 cents. But our elections have changed in the state due to early voting and absentee ballot voting, which is extensive. And our county office building, the registrar's office, is now a polling place. And I forget what the last election, the percentage of voters who voted early, and I think it's increasing. And I just feel like it's unfair to restrict the location to not allow political signs during an election period. Now, one of the reasons that we started doing this was because the lawn was getting overrun with signs, and it was a maintenance problem to mow ground, and it is a problem. But I'm wondering if we just can't set aside a designated area for a particular length of time during the election season where we could get anybody that's an approved candidate or has gone through the process is on the ballot. Of course, that's also tricky because if you have a write-in candidate, they would have as much right to put a sign there as well. I think we need to kind of consider that, to allow some political advertising again. The problem with Virginia, we have 2 or 3 elections every year. We just don't get a break. And it's overwhelming to the registrar's office. It costs the county money. It's, quite frankly, to the political party's activity, it's exhausting trying to run elections, campaign for elections. So I think we need to maybe revisit the fact, or political signs on this particular property during election season, due to the fact that so many people now vote here. And I know in the last election when I was running it, and I was working the various polls, visiting them, and it was amazing how many people did not actually know we were having a local election. I forget what, almost half or slightly over half the people didn't even turn over the ballot to look at the local elections. And I had people at the polling places ask me, oh, we have a local election? What is a local election? I'm like, oh my God. Oh. So I would rather encourage political messaging rather than suppress it. And that's just my philosophy. How that would work into any future ordinance change, that would be something we'd have to decide. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's just my thoughts on it.
And if I can say one thing on this particular sign y'all are talking about with the elephant in the room. This sign was informational and educational, and it was a yes/no vote. It didn't say any colors. It didn't say it was for educational purposes, which were very important in this vote, I think. And I do understand all the other political signs and things that we do, but it's, this whole, let's vote 6 weeks early is ridiculous. But anyway, we won't go there. I'm just saying that it was different. Can I say that? It was just a different sign, kind of sign. It was election. We were voting yes or no, but
Sure. I think in some ways I'm grateful for the sign being there just because it pointed this out for us and we can clean it up. But I think for us, I think the goal is we don't care what the sign says. We just want to have some control over blight and when signs go up and where. Not at all about what they say.
And make it easy on the umpire, whoever's got to call balls and strikes. I mean, I don't care if it's a DRI, write in whoever, it's just, when you have this opening, I mean, our job is not to suppress, as you're saying, but it's like, I think that was the intent when it was amended in 23, was like, let's keep signs away for the maintenance issue. So whenever it's going through the draft process, that's the only thing I'll say on behalf of our team members, just make it easy for the umpire, because we're really trying to call the game no matter who's at the plate, to use a baseball analogy, so.
All right, then I guess, Alan, since you're here, let's get this on the, I guess we go through the PDRC first and foremost.
Ordinance amendments will not hit PDRC, they'll go directly to Planning Commission.
Okay.
Mr. Wright's already sent me language to consider to put in front of him, so we're ready to go on this one, this coming workshop.
Okay, all right.
I think just the only other thing I'd say is, we sort of intentionally waited till after April 21 was over to touch this one. We'd like to do it well before November comes around, so I think we're all in the same boat on that.
Okay. August, yeah. Yeah. All right, so it's going to be on the workshop for next week from tomorrow, then?
Yes, sir.
At
If
6:30.
we have consensus on language on this one, let's see, then we'll go into June, so it would be a July public hearing on that one, adopted well before August.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind taking a vote, just directing the Planning Commission to take this up?
Oh, sure,
Well,
yeah.
it's an official action.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that'd be fine, yeah, I'd entertain a motion that we task the Planning Commission with coming up with a definition of temporary signs.
So moved.
And I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. So. All right, DEQ public notice.
Chairman, not to be confused with Mountain View Nursing Home. This one's for Rapidan Baptist Camp. Again, any permit holder that has a permit from DEQ for discharge is required to go through a public notice period. Those permits are generally good for 5 years, and when they come up for renewal, this is the chance for any public comment. The public comment period for Rapidan Baptist Camps permit renewal is from April 30th through June 1st. So those who want to make comment can do so directly to DEQ. I believe the links and all, or the email address is in there at the bottom to Ms. Spence. You can go directly to her. If someone's having issues, they can always send it to me, and I can get it over to them. This does not guarantee a public hearing, just like your last notice. That's up to the amount of public comment if DEQ finds it necessary to set one. So again, not to confuse this one with Mountain View Nursing Home. Mountain View Nursing Home was rescheduled again for weather and other purposes. That's May 27th in this room we're sitting in today. But this public notice comment period is for Rapidan Baptist Camps permit.
All right.
And that's off Jack Shop Road, for those of you who don't know where that camp is located.
Yeah. Anything from the board, questions about that? All right. All right, so we're back to second round of public comment. Public comment?
Thank you. I'm Annette Hyde. I live in Radiant, and I'm chair of the Madison County Democratic Committee. The A sign that was placed outside the registrar's office on Monday, March 23rd, not only violated the 36-hour requirement of being placed on county property before the special election of Tuesday, April 21st, it also violated, as what Chairman Yao mentioned, Section 24.2-956.1 of the Code of Virginia. The code reads, "It shall be unlawful for any person or political committee to sponsor a print media advertisement that constitutes an expenditure or contribution required to be disclosed under Chapter 9.3 of Section 24.2-945 unless the following requirements are met." There were several, but the first one is, it bears the legend or that includes the statement paid for by name of person or political committee. The sign had no such disclaimer text, and I filed a complaint with the State Board of Elections naming the Madison County Republican Committee as the offender. Because of this violation, the sign gave the impression that the county, and more importantly, the registrar, Ms. Eanes, and her staff were expressing an opinion on the special election. Ms. Eanes and her deputies are nonpartisan and carry out their duties with exceptional professionalism. The concerned citizens neglected that consideration when they displayed the sign without the required disclaimer text. The zoning administrator, Mr. Nichols, decided not to enforce the current sign ordinance. The county attorney, Mr. Wright, decided to kick the can down the road because he didn't want the county to get sued. What good is an ordinance if it's not enforced? I certainly hope that the revised ordinance will be clear as glass. It has some teeth added to it so that the county and the registrar's office do not have to go through the situation again.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hyde. Mr. Nichols?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'll be brief. I just want to follow up on the discussion of the design standards of private roads that was had earlier, and just say that just because other localities regulate activities on private land, it does not mean that we have to. If the standard for us imposing regulations on any particular item, use, or activity, let's say, was based on what our neighbors did, we would all naturally become California. So just because our neighbors do something doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea for us. And so I appreciate that you have decided not to take action on regulating private roads. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Got anything back? Oh, okay, sure. Come on up. Identify yourself.
Hey, I think everybody knows me. I'm Clint Hyde. I live where she lives.
Yeah.
Right? Which in fact happens to be on Twyman's Mill Road. So it was very interesting to hear my road named and discussed a little bit today. I think that's a first in my experience here anyway. And my question for you is, how can I be kept aware of like road maintenance activity there? I'd like to know what's going on. If somebody's gonna be doing something, and I might like to have a little input about what's, right? I don't care about other people's roads so much. I don't drive down most of the roads here, and y'all don't mostly drive down my road either, as far as that goes. But I'd like to know if there's going to be activity there, just informational purposes. How do I get to find out about this? I'd especially be concerned if somebody's gonna dig up right at the end of my driveway for some reason. And what was being discussed sounded like it's at the far end of the road, which I don't generally go that direction. So, you know, and that's a couple, 3 miles away. So not my route ever particularly. Is there a way I can be kept apprised of any of that?
Well, yeah, go ahead, John.
You can check with VDOT. One of the things I know we struggle with, we used to get a weekly update newsletter. I believe in our paper of record right now, just so you know, and everybody's probably figured it out by now, but we use the Piedmont Journal Recorder. I know Chuck runs that weekly, but he gets that directly from VDOT, and it talks about activities for the upcoming week. So like if he publishes it on Friday or Saturday, it's their weekly activity for the following week. So that would be things like if they've got pothole repair or something like that nature on the road. If it's a larger scale projects, like you heard here earlier, like some culverts at Duet, you know, something that's a road closure.
Pothole filling, for sure.
Well, something like a road closure, like a bridge replacement, that'll be even a larger advertisement for that purpose, because that, while those other activities still allow traffic to go through, whether there might be a flagman or something, some of those other projects are restrictive, so they'll have detours. But the newsletter is the best way. You can follow that on the Piedmont Journal. VDOT, I don't know if they've got kind of what I would equate to, like the state has a listserv where you can ask to be put on a emailing list. You might have to take that up with VDOT to ask. I don't know why my throat, I just got the coughing. Excuse me. They may allow folks to be put on an email list, so when notifications go out, you get them. But the best way I can say, Clint, is just look at those those weekly updates in the Piedmont Journal, which he gets directly from VDOT. It is their schedule.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
All right, thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, very well. We will close public comment then. We do have a closed session this evening, so, Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A1 for personnel.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.